Following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think that you
Hi, Tom.
She's waving in planes over there.
I don't know how I can get your attention. You don't look this way. It's your neck problem, right?
It is, yeah. I can't look to the right. So when I go out to dinner with a bunch of people, right, I have to get there first so I can sit in a spot where I can see everybody.
Well, before you got
my
here,
neck doesn't go that way anymore.
Before you got here, they were gonna put you in the middle. Go, oh no,
No,
you have
you're
to sit
not
on
doing
that.
that.
You can't look that way.
That's why two guys had such a great setup, because their desk was shaped like a U, so I could sit on this end and I could still see everybody, right? So, and I noticed when I'm watching replays of this show that, like, we're gonna have to redo. We're still making adjustments. We're still looking for a background.
Hopefully not. I mean,
She hates the background that I picked out. It's purple. It's purple bricks behind me. I'm a big fan of purple. I like purple.
purple and green.
Purple and
like
green.
neon.
I thought it was nice. Well, it looks like we're up, right? Looks like we're on.
We are.
We're on both platforms.
Hi everyone, welcome in. Please like, comment, and share.
Eventually, we're going to find a way to go live on YouTube, too. We're going to build our YouTube audience. That Brian DePina interview really, I mean,
Ooh, that's
that
the
was
talk of
that
the
was our
town.
highest audience in a long time.
That's the talk of the town, let me tell you.
So usually we start off with the song of the show, and then I chat for about 5 minutes, thank our sponsors, and then get right to the guests. Oh, we need ba-ba-bas out of these guys.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
It's okay, there's another one coming. That was your practice set. Edgar's looking at me like, what the hell did I just get myself into?
He's scared.
I'm the only guy in the world that can make rock stars terrified out of their minds. Thank our buddy Melvin Taylor for writing this song for our show.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, he wrote this 15 years ago last month. He came on the show with his guitar and said, hey, I wrote something for your show.
Really?
Yeah, they put it on his record, too. Wait, Bubba Buzz.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
All right, these guys are off the show.
I'm getting you. I'm gonna post this right now.
All right, cool. Yeah. Use all the views we can get. All right, should we start the show? What do you think?
I think so.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Hi, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan here with the Paying Attention Podcast, high atop the Golden Seal Apothecary. And to be fair, there are 3 other businesses down there. I just don't like any of them. And we're rooting for the Golden Seal Apothecary because, as I said last week, I sit in my office right across the street here on Main Street, and I look down every single day. I look through my window, and there's literally zero business down there, and I feel so bad for those guys. They spent so much money to lease that space and to fix that space to make it a kind of like a home pharmacy. It's like the old days. I don't know if you guys remember Packard Pharmacy on South Union Street, where you'd go in and you could have like a root beer float while you were waiting for them to fill your.
I think these guys are
prescription.
millennials.
Yeah, they're probably a little younger than I am.
That was before our time.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks for making me feel old. Appreciate that.
We love you, Tom.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. I'm the oldest guy in this building by about 40 years. So anyways, I'm rooting for these guys downstairs, and I tried to get them to advertise. I offered them free advertising.
Really?
And I said, just design something for me. Here's my email address. They wanted no part of it.
But do they have like license to give prescriptions and everything?
Yeah, they do prescriptions.
Oh, so they
and
make
stuff
enough money.
downstairs.
Trust me, they make enough money.
No, literally, there's nobody. I've never.
Trust me, they make money.
The
They
only
wouldn't
person,
be there.
The only person I see coming and going downstairs is the girl that works behind the counter when she takes her break. And I'm really rooting for them. I want them to work, but it's just not working for them.
I think
so
with
far.
just 15 prescriptions a week that they do, they make enough money.
Okay,
Trust me.
all right. Oh, all right. Very good. You're the drug expert, I guess. I thought it would be these guys, but okay. We'll go with intern girl. All right, let's thank our sponsors, the Century 21 McLennan Real Estate, the Zani Pesci, how do you say it again?
The hottest woman in the world.
The hottest woman in the world, Jana Zani Pesci, is going to be running for re-election this year. And by the way, she has her own show, as we talked about last week, which I'm still really pissed off about. But Nick DeZoglio asked me last night if I would be a guest on their show.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah, if you're not there, I need to be the only man in her life. That's the way it has to work. So we're negotiating the Marsan & Son Construction, EIS, Investigation and Gun Training, whom we have hired officially now to investigate the editors of the Eagle Tribune, their personal lives, their divorces, their child custody cases, after they decided to come after me, put me on the front page of the paper when I got arrested, and then refused to cover the story when I won my Supreme Court case. Who else do we have? Tomo and Shaken Seafood, Clear Path for Veterans New England, G's Ice Cream, a free shout-out to the Jafrida brothers. AFC Urgent Care. I took Zaka over to Sevmar Restaurant. You guys like Lebanese food?
Oh, yeah.
I love Lebanese.
Have you been to Sevmar yet? Or Justin? Oh, my
I haven't been
Oh,
there.
I have.
God,
It's so
it is,
good.
it is the most incredible Lebanese food ever. And they're not a sponsor, so I'm just telling you what I really think. Who else do we have here? Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors. It's June.
Oh, yeah. He's
It's
coming?
June, so he's coming in the next couple of
Yay!
weeks.
Okay.
The Prime Insurance, Doug Mercurio, Law Office. He seems to like you, so maybe he likes you. So
Okay.
maybe you could talk him into renewing his ads run out next month.
Okay, I'll
we
talk
we
to him.
started in July last year.
All right, I'll talk
So if
to
you
him.
could
He
talk-
wants to come to my podcast. So
Oh, he
once
does?
Yeah, he
Ah, well,
does.
there you
So
go.
once he comes
Well,
to mine, I'll
There we go.
have him sign.
Who else do we have here? Enterprise Bank. Went to Enterprise Bank this week. I was having a hard time. We took in about $3,000 in scholarship donations by Cash App during the bash, and I forgot that it was there. So I went to my phone one day, and I was just looking, and I saw it, and I looked, and I couldn't transfer the money into my account. There was a glitch
helped
with
you?
Cash App. I walked in, I handed my phone to Johnny, and in under a minute and a half, the money was transferred.
Nice.
So if you need a bank, trust me, stay away from Santander, TD, all these national banks. You need to go to Enterprise Bank. Who else do we have left? W3ON, 4-star lighting, and a free shout out to my buddy Dr. Amano at Stadium Chiropractic. Couple quick things before we get to our guest. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I think I broke the Kells Debo.
No.
I think I broke it. Yeah.
Why you do that to a
Yeah.
family?
I,
You're the Antichrist. You know that?
Well, all I can say is that nobody deserves the misery they're going through more than these two do, Kelly and Debo. So Debo, I guess he thinks he's a Kardashian. He did a video yesterday announcing the breakup like he's a celebrity, like anyone gives a shit. And he's like, oh, I just want to say. But I have to say, if you put a gun to my head and you told me I had to pick somebody in that war between now Kelly and Debo, I think I'd have to go with Debo 7 days a week. Because
Yeah.
as despicable as he is, and he's pretty despicable.
Deep down inside, you still care about the guy a little.
No, let's not be silly now. No,
Okay.
not even a little bit. But when you look at the two of them, he's a choir boy compared. He's an altar boy compared to her.
Yeah.
So it's not going to stop the lawsuit. It's not going to stop any of that stuff. But if he was smart and he wanted to get out of it, he should probably reach out to me. What else do we have? A quick update on our public records request out of the city of Lawrence. So Attorney Tim Hooton went from insisting in writing for 6 straight months that my public records request was going to cost $11,275. He insisted in writing to the council, to the mayor's office, to the Secretary of State. It was going to cost $11,275. And then suddenly he lost his appeal with the Secretary of State's office, and now the number is $5,625. As I predict, I came in here last week, or 2 weeks ago, and I said, once we win our case, they'll cut the price in half, and then they'll keep playing games for a couple of weeks, and then eventually it'll be like $100 by the time we're done. So even though I said that live on the air, they're still doing what I predicted they were going to do because every city attorney follows the same bullshit pattern. First, they create an incredible amount of money so you can't get the documents. Then they run you through the process of doing appeals with the Secretary of State's office. When they lose, they go, okay, and they cut it in half to make it look like that first number was close, right? We really thought that was what was going to cost, but lo and behold, we found out it was only half. And then when the Secretary of State laughs at them again, which then pushes it back another 20 days, then finally they came back with something reasonable. So we're well on our way, and I do want to say, I don't want to say too much publicly, but I want to thank City Council President Giovanni Rodriguez, who finally reached out to me on this
Better
and
late than
said,
never.
listen, I'm giving him his flowers. I'm giving him his credit. Is that what they say in the Dominican community? I'm giving him his flowers?
Well, I say that, but that's an English term.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
All right,
I
okay.
think.
Fair enough. I'm just too old to know any of this stuff.
Okay.
Let's give him credit. He took him a while, but he came around and he called me yesterday and he said he's working on it. And he asked me if I could revise my request a little bit because what we're looking for is the emails from the former homeless coordinator, Kelly
Can I just
Fraser.
say, you know why I really, really want to see it? I want to know if she signed her emails with Kells with the Z. And if she used like uppercase and lowercase letters.
Right.
When she's
That's hilarious. So we got all these things. We have. By the way, one more thing, real quick. Taste of Lawrence. We had our Valley Patriot Taste Testers. The winner of the Taste of Lawrence, which was at Salvatore's last week on Monday, I think. The winner was Terramar Mexican Grill.
Oh, so good. They have the best guac. They add little chunks of chicharrón in their guac.
Oh, the chicharrones
oh my
are
God, it's to
amazing.
die for.
Where is
to
this?
die for.
You know where Yokohama Japanese restaurant on South Broadway used to be? Mm-hmm. That's where they are. They're in that spot right there.
Right across
They
like
took
that,
over.
what's the Cumberland?
Cumberland Farms?
Cumberland Farms, yeah, something like that.
Nice.
So they won, and so what we're going to do now is we have these taste testers that we go to all these tastes, and then the winner gets a free ad in the Valley Patriot for 3 months, whoever wins the tastes. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with, we tried this a couple of years ago, and we're going to try it again. We want to get 10 flash mob lunch people together and get 10 people. We're all going to go to like one restaurant once a month. We're going to find one restaurant. We're all going to go and we're going to give them some of our money so we can help stimulate small businesses. And then we're going to rate all the food. We're going to rate everything on the menu. So whatever it is that we get, we're going to rate it, and then we're going to do a story in the Valley Patriot.
Can I please take part in this?
Absolutely.
I want to try everything.
I mean, it's Dutch. I'm not paying for everybody's dinner. Like the taste, I pay for everybody.
Then never mind. I'm not going. I can afford it.
As long as Polo Central's on there somewhere. All right. Okay, so in the studio, I think that's it, right? We have everything. Is there any other?
Do you want to talk about like any national news, like the big beautiful bill?
No, you know what? I will say I'm a big fan of Donald Trump, as everybody knows, but he's so wrong about all of this. Elon Musk is so right about all of this. Elon Musk spent all this time trying to save us money by identifying fraud within the federal government, and then when he found it all and they came up with a bottom line, Donald Trump went, okay, now let's spend it. Like, are you kidding me?
Well,
this is not why we voted for Donald Trump or the Republicans. We voted for them to cut spending. And now can you imagine, Donald Trump and Elizabeth Warren both want to eliminate the debt ceiling, the debt limit. And the whole point of electing Trump and the Republicans was to cut spending, to stop the spreads, to stop the bleeding. So anyways, I don't want to get into too much politics.
Any business person knows in order to make money, you got to spend money, right?
Well, yeah, but do we have to spend 80 gazillion, quintillion, billion, quadrillion dollars?
I don't know. We'll see.
So, all right, we'll do politics, I think, next week. But in the studio, we got a couple of guys, and I'm still a little jaded. I'm still a little jaded because when I first met these guys, I first started hanging out with them. I only asked for one thing: the leftover groupies, and they promised that if I hung out with them and I promoted them and I put them in the paper, they've been on the podcast before, and we invite them to the bash every year. And here we are, like 15 years later, still waiting for the leftover groupies. I'm just saying.
You haven't had any?
No. I gotta
get her my lap dance.
So to my left, to your right is Mark Roberge and Edgar Troncoso. They are the drummer and bassist, drummer and guitarist. You're not the bassist.
Bass.
I was doing
the
bass too. All right,
he was the bass player.
Right. So you guys have moved around, and we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
From Prospect Hill. Now, when Prospect Hill first started, it was like on Combination Street in Lawrence on Prospect Hill in your mom's garage. And then the next thing I know, I was doing radio, and I think I was at WCAP in Lowell, and you called me from like the Falkland Islands or something. Where were you guys?
Marshall Islands.
Marshall Islands.
Yeah.
And you were like, all of a sudden you're playing Germany, all over the world, and I was like, wow, Lawrence guys made good. At some point, I got to get these guys on the show. So this is the second time for you, first time for Edgar. And I wanted to talk a little bit about like your humble beginnings, because you're still in the area. Like, a lot of people get famous. You know, maybe they live in Ohio somewhere, they get famous, and they leave their hometown and they go to live in L.A. or New York or Miami. And you guys have stayed local. You help local charities. You're doing stuff in the community. You're helping small artists that are trying to come up and teach them what you guys have learned from what you've done. And so I just kind of want to just start with, like, what was it like becoming super, super famous, then coming home to your hometown and dealing like with what most famous people deal with, like people not giving a shit? Like, oh, yeah, so you're a rock star. They like treat you like they did when you were in high school.
Well, I guess, like, you know, the thing about it is we never actually reached that massive pinnacle. Yeah, we had, a lot of success out there. We had a single that charted at Billboard. We signed the deals. We had licensing deals across the board with NFL and ESPN, and we did well. We traveled, we toured, and we went national. We went worldwide, and we've. There was a big hiccup along the way where when our single "Come Alive" at the time was out and we signed the deal with the label, there was a big issue with that release that pretty much kind of put the brakes on the momentum, right? And so from there, we kind of put. Was it
like a music industry thing? Was it a promotion problem? Like, what? Do you mind if I ask?
No, yeah, I'll
breach a contract essentially.
Yeah, we signed with a label that was poised to be like the next big, the comparison label was a label called Roadrunner, which was ultimately the label that Slipknot and Nickelback were on, right? So it was poised to be like the next biggest label in the rock world. We signed that deal. There was a massive radio team that was attached. Our single was already at radio doing well, and there was a scheduled impact date. That's when the single actually hits radio officially. And so we did a lot of work on our own by, touring nationally and making friends with all the program directors at all these radio stations, right? We would go in there and we'd bring coffee and donuts in the morning.
Yeah,
they brought me. They bring me coffee, and I had to bring my own coffee in.
Yeah, next time we'll get you. We
made some crazy road trips just to bring food to radio stations.
Yeah. Yeah, and we would bring pizza in the afternoons. Like
donuts,
we just we'd make an appearance at all these stations. So these program directors knew who we were, and when they saw the single was going on radio, they did an early ad, right? So they were excited about the single. From there, the label has now got X amount of guaranteed money behind it, significant money. A nice.
And when you say money means to promote it.
To promote it, it's in the canteen. It's agreed on in the contract, and basically the single goes to radio on that Monday. And there's already station ads. Some of the biggest stations in the country add it, but then you need a team to actually continue to push that. It's like a sales game where you got guys in different regions hitting up the program directors that they have relationships with. Hey, this radio station added it. You got to add it. Hey, it's charting here. You got to add. Don't be the last one to add these guys. And there's other things that get offered and stuff in order to get the song on the radio, right? So ultimately, that's supposed to happen on that Monday, right? Song's already there. It's starting. It makes a movement. It's on Sirius Octane, which is huge, on Sirius XM. And we crickets from the label and the radio team on Monday. We're like, what's going on? No one's answering us. What's happening? Nothing. Tuesday, head of promotion says, call your lawyer. Text us that.
Wow.
And we're like, what?
So you're waiting for the big drop.
Yeah,
right.
And so the radio team, essentially what they did was that Monday they left. He pulled the whole radio team, the head of promotion. Essentially somebody came in, swindled the owner of the label and said, hey, listen, I know what I'm doing. Get rid of these guys. Put all your money against this band and forget about everybody else. And we were a casualty of that.
So it was literally politics.
It was politics.
Wow.
And so our single's floating out there by itself without no promotion, which is an issue. And now our lawyer is threatening to sue. We're trying to get, and so ultimately they gave us the masters back and the publishing, which momentum is more important at that moment.
Yeah.
Kind of it screwed us significantly. What happened was that song continued to rise up the charts, and it ended up landing at number 38, so a top 40 at mainstream rock Billboard, and then number 42 at Active. And then, unfortunately, without any push, it kind of just fell back down, which was supposed to be a top 5.
I remember listening to Howard Stern when he was on Late at Night. Well, he was on Late at Night in the Boston market, and hearing you guys on BCN. Couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, my God, I know those guys. That's amazing.
Yeah, we had, there was a lot of support locally at the time. We were, at the time of our pinnacle here locally, we were pulling in around 1,200 people, right? Today, now that we're kind of back and we were on a hiatus for a while, it's still amazing to see it. Last show we had, just under 500 people. And we have a show coming up in June 28th at Wally's. And we're hoping to at least get, another hit 600.
I'm hoping to be there again.
Yeah.
I keep going backstage looking for those groupies that you guys promised me every year. I'm like, well, where are they? I'm looking under the couch.
June 28th. We got to get Tom hooked up. All right. So now we're in a new direction now in regards to how this band operates. And we put out a new EP in October with 3 songs on it called Catalyst with Edgar singing now.
Yeah.
So and that's where the direction is. And we got a new single. It's actually dropping tomorrow called Victim.
Wow.
Yeah, and this one's going to radio.
So before we get to the new stuff,
yep.
So you guys got your publishing back. Did you then ever find like a label or a promotion group to push that, or is that why you started Red 13 to promote your own stuff?
Well, yeah, that's like there's a 2-part answer to that. So essentially, when we came off the road, after that issue, right? There was a lot of internal issues happening with the band, right? There was a lot.
Which you guys are famous for, really. I mean, I think you probably don't want to get into details, but.
Well, we're brothers, right?
Right.
We've all been together since we were in high school, so it's a family element, right? These guys, Edgar, Derek, Johnny, even Andy and Adam are brothers to us, right? And so ultimately, like brothers, we fight. And there's issues that go, on for years that people tolerate until they don't, right? And that's what happens, right? And so ultimately, we were hoping that this label deal would bring the success that would basically calm the inner turmoil, right? That would. There was a lot of angst and a lot of riding on us to get to that next level, and unfortunately, we didn't break through because of certain situations, and it is what it is, and that paid a heavy toll on all of us. And so there was a lot of turmoil within, and so after that happened, we decided we were going to take a little bit of a break. We backed off. At first, we were going to move forward with Edgar as singing at the time, which we did take a jump and a leap at.
I got to say, I was really impressed when you took that even temporarily took that lead, and I listened to some of that music. In my head, I'm waiting for Adam's voice, right? Because that's kind of been the voice of the band. And then I heard you, and I thought, oh my God, that's fucking incredible! Like that's not even something I would expect to have heard from you.
Well, what's funny about his voice is mixed on most of the records, especially all of Impact as a co-lead. So he's right up there because his range is so much higher than Adam's, and it brings the excitement to the track. So he was mixed in as basically the co-lead singer on that record. And then he has Rescued, which he's the lead singer on completely by himself, and then Adam just kind of pops in for that one part. So it's like, everybody's used to hearing Edgar's voice at some level, just not alone, and now that's what they're getting used to with the new phase.
I saw a clip the other day online. I don't know if you guys released it or somebody was just pirating you, but I saw you remaking "Come Alive" with just your voice.
Oh yeah,
I
was in the studio.
And I'm watching that and I'm listening to it and I'm going, because again, we're just as a Prospect Hill fan used to Adam's voice, and now I'm listening to your voice and I'm going, yeah, that's like a really interesting take on that song, and it's still really, really good.
Well, thanks. I mean, live I would help him with the lead, do the backups. So yeah, that was in our studio in Plastow. We were just
messing around,
just throwing it down. See what the reaction is.
So do you have now a label or a promotion company, a publishing company that is pushing your stuff, or are you guys just now, because you created your own? It's kind of like how I started the newspaper, right? There was nobody. We didn't buy something and make it better. We just kind of created it as we went, as we needed stuff. I didn't know how to design advertising. I didn't know how to design like continued from. I had to learn as I went. And you guys, because you needed someone, created your own PR company called Red 13 to promote artists, so that what happened to you wouldn't happen to them.
Yeah, so it's funny. I came off the road, we took the break, and I started Red 13 with Sean Lichtenstein of he's in the band called Lansdowne, who we toured with, and they're a worldwide.
You guys are always together.
Yeah, they're like they're like our family band, right? There's a few of us out there that we're all like family, and they're one of them. And Sean and I are business partners, and I brought in Johnny, my cousin, who's also the guitar player in Prospect Hill. Derek was involved at the very beginning, but then he decided to duck out, and then we brought in Jim Foster, who
Jim's a good guy.
Jim is our first producer. He produced Out of the Ashes, the first record that we have with Jeremy Woods singing, and then he was also instrumental in producing, fixing basically for the Lovers, the Haters, and the Dead. So he mixed and produced that record at some level as well. We recorded somewhere else and then brought everything to him. So Jim, we've known Jim now.
Oh, jeez. Over 20 years.
Since we were 17 years old.
Yeah.
I remember drinking beers at his studio when we were like 17 and Edgar drunk.
The evil laugh, there's a story behind that. You know that.
By the end of the night, we're all just slumped over in the office chairs.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Jim's been implemental in our career, and he's always been there. So we established Red 13. We started writing and producing for a number of other artists. We've had success there. Started producing music videos and then started working on the promotion. So, the company is now basically a full-service label and a label services company, and we work with artists, ranging from like Nonpoint to Taproot to Godsmack to Daughtry, and we work with a bunch of independent artists and artists that are on the way up as well.
Well, I noticed that when I went by your studio when you first opened on Broadway in Lawrence, which, by the way, thanks for doing that, for coming back to the community and trying to help. And I noticed when we toured like your grand opening, and I came by a couple of times after that you were just working with like unknown local Lawrence artists, rappers, people, kids in the community that just wanted the dream, that wanted to do that, and you were kind of like mentoring them and showing them like what to do, what not to do. And I stood back from that, as a newspaper guy that kind of, again, just kind of did my own thing, watching you guys mentor them, thinking, like, I don't know anybody in your position that would do that. Most guys in your position, once you hit, go to live in L.A. and live the party life and the rock star life, not coming home and making good. And I always admired that about you guys.
Well, the thing about that is my issue with that is coming up from Lawrence, right? One of the biggest inspirations for me was Godsmack, obviously, right? So he's from Lawrence. Rob,
from the Arlington Street area.
Yeah, he grew up on Prospect Hill. He went to school with my mother and my father at Greater Lawrence, and obviously, now I know Sully and we work with him.
I toured with.
He toured with him, and so it's funny. My father came home and he threw that original album of theirs on my bed, and he goes, "Hey, check that out! I went to high school with this kid," and it was the All Wound Up record, which is actually the self-titled, but they really before they signed with Universal, it was self-released. And I remember throwing it in, and I was probably like 12 years old, maybe 11. And I was like, whoa, it just made it like connect, like, wait a minute, I can do this? This guy from Lawrence is doing this,
right.
And then that's what, pushed me to my trajectory of, okay, there's a drum set downstairs, I'm going to learn drums, and I'm going to start building a band. So I started just, taking all my friends and saying, hey, now you play guitar, now you play bass.
Right.
And Johnny was playing bass at the time, and I was like, hey, you're in the band as well. And so I think every one of my best friends was in my band at one point when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up on Woodland Street on Prospect Hill. So we had like a little jam set up in the basement there. And, there's asbestos layered all over the pipes. We're banging. We're probably breathing them in. We're all dying and killing ourselves. But it was like, that was that moment. And then I went to school at the Leonard School at the time, which is whatever it is now. I'm not even sure.
Up Academy, Leonard.
Is that what it is? So I went there, and Derek was the new kid coming in 7th grade. And so, I was one of the only white kids there. And so I was like one of the only kids that liked rock music there, and I was trying to get everybody into it. And
everybody else was into rap and
reggaeton. And, it was like, whatever, it was just a different culture. It was all, Puerto Rican, Dominican. And, it was cool. They were like, oh, there's Mark, the rock kid, And so ultimately they sat Derek next to me on his first day of school, obviously. And I was like, okay, cool. Who's this kid? And he's like, I'm from Methuen, and he's got a fucking, can I swear on this?
Yeah, you bet.
He's got a fucking stain on his shirt, right? And I'm like, fuck you. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm from Methuen. I'm in Lawrence. I'm like, whatever, dude. And I'm like, I don't like this kid. And then he flips over his notebook, and he's got a corn sticker on it. And I was like, oh, wow. You like rock music? And he's like, yeah, dude. I was like, Korn? He's like, seen him like 3 times. And I was like, wow. I was like, I don't know anybody that's, I was like,
Freak on a leash.
Yeah, Freak on a Leash.
Everybody else is listening to Daddy Yankee.
Yeah.
I like rock, and I'm Latina. I listen to rock.
It was a different time though. Then it was like and it was so funny because now I'm like now he's my friend. Now I'm like we connected there, and I was like, I'm starting a band, and he was like, yeah, me too. I sing. I was like, you want to try out for my band? And so then he showed up at my house literally the next day, and he came to my basement and he screamed. It was
Papa Roach?
No, it was Limp Bizkit, and it was Stuck by Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
There's no singing in it. It's just screaming, and he just starts going mental in my basement. And I was like, this is awesome. You got the job, right? Boom. And so that's how that all kind of started. And I was like, Johnny, we got a singer. And so then it just morphed into that. And then in high school, the band became Panacea. And that's where we met Edgar. Edgar was hanging out and would just come. I was a new kid in Methuen, and then he
had hair back then.
Oh, no, not yet.
No, you actually had like a fade.
I had a
back
fade.
then.
Yeah. Kind of an Edgar haircut.
Yeah. So you can go from your perspective there, but so he, he knew who I was in school as the new kid, but then he also met Derek separately.
Yeah. I met Derek at the Loop. I was being a crazy wild child, and we just hit it off. We became friends, and he was like, "Oh, I got a band. Do you want to come check it out?" And I was like, "Okay." So when I was dropping
Did you
him
know
off,
like you could sing or play, or you just joined?
I had a bass, but I didn't know how to play it.
Right.
I used to just like blast music and rock out. So yeah, I didn't know how to play, but when Derek invited me to the band practice, I showed up and walked in and saw Mark there behind the drum kit, and I'm like, this guy from school, the new guy, and yeah, they started playing, and I was just it was like that all wound up moment for me where I was like, these are kids, they're my age, and I love this music, and they're making it, and I want to be around.
So a lot of you didn't even really know how to play instruments really that good at the time. You just wanted to be in a band, which is how I got into a band. I was in a band that wasn't quite as successful as yours, called Crossfire, when I was in high school, and that's how we did. I had a drum set, so I had to be the drummer, and then everybody else just kind of figured out what role they wanted to play and went out and bought the guitar and did it.
That's how it worked.
And back then, that's how bands formed, right?
Yeah.
In fact, there's even a story I just learned this like a couple of weeks ago, that Eddie Van Halen and Alex were supposed to. Eddie was supposed to be the drummer and Alex was supposed to be the guitarist. But Eddie came home one day and Alex was playing his drum kit and said, "Wow, you do that better than me. Then maybe I'll just be the guitarist." Like, I heard that story and I'm like, how did I get to be this old after listening to that music for so long and not know that story? But that's how some of the greatest bands in history came about.
Yeah, and that's what happened. And then he actually, he was just kind of coming to the rehearsals and hanging out and just being silly because he was nuts. Like in high school, he'd just be like walking on his hands, being a monkey. Like he was like the guy that would walk into a room in high school. We went to Methuen High, and he would walk into like the cafeteria and like half the room would be like, "Oh, Jesus." And then the other half would be like,
"He's
Edgar!"
here.
He was like. Everybody knew him. There was no one that didn't know who he was, and either you loved him or you hated him. It was great, and it was like I loved the kid. I was like, this is great, and him and I, we wrestled and played football together, so we became close on that, and then obviously the music. But he was hanging out, and our bass player at the time, who was my other cousin, ended up like for some reason I don't know, he was troubled, and he ended up like stealing his mom's car and driving it into the house or something crazy, something nuts, right? I forget what it was. Something. I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Was that what it was? Yeah. And then so he couldn't play the show. So then we're like, well, Edgar's got a bass, and we got the show. We don't want to cancel it, right?
He didn't know how to play it, but you know.
I barely. So the day of the show, Derek showed me 6 songs in 2 hours, and then I played my first show at Exit 23 in Haverhill.
Yeah,
oh,
Jeremy
wild.
DeLuca, shout out. Hopefully he's watching. I did share it, and he's on there. So,
wow.
yeah, he was. It was like this little club in Haverhill, and it was actually where we first started recording our demos, which we were putting on as releases as Panacea. So it was Edgar, Derek, my cousin Johnny, this kid Tom Madden singing, and myself playing drums. And then that's what evolved into Prospect Hill. At one point, we had another singer named Chris Shapolsky. And then from there, we changed the band to Driven for a little while, and then we were with Jeremy Woods, and then it was Prospect Hill with Jeremy Woods, and then finally we
ended up with Adam. So I was going to ask you how Adam came into this. You came into this motley crew.
So we had an album out called Out of the Ashes with Jeremy Woods, and the album caught attention. We had some major labels that were interested in us. We started playing showcases, but we weren't ready. We didn't have the performance chops. We weren't at that level that we're at now, or even a year after that, realistically. So it was a little too soon, and then ultimately, there was issues with Jeremy and all that happened, and he ended up leaving, and we needed a singer, right? And there was a band that we were playing with called Singe at the time that just recently broke up as well, which Adam was the lead singer of, and my father at the time was managing us, and he was like, "Adam's your guy. You got to go. You got to get him," right? And so we were still on the fence. There was a couple other people who were trying out. We weren't sure. We weren't fully, didn't make the decision, but he was like overbearing about it, and then he lied to us. We find out years later. He made a lie. And I don't know how many people know this, but he goes, "I spoke to Mistress Carrie at WAAF, and she said if you guys put him in the band, she's going to play you guys." And we're stupid. Like, that sounds like a dumb thing, like, to believe.
But that's an Adam move, though, right?
But no, he didn't say that. My father did.
Oh, your father said that?
Did
Oh,
that.
no shit.
And so he made up this lie, and we got Adam. So we were like, all right, fucking, let's do it. So we got Adam in, and then we recorded our first single with him called Walk Home. Which was like a reproduction of another song that was on the record before, just new lyrics and melodies that he actually wrote and sang on. And so then that's where it started.
Right.
So then from there we continued to record and produce, which we did with Jim Foster, who's my business partner over at Red
Jim's such a great guy.
Yeah, and so that's how that all began, and then we just started, really, hitting the pavement with the shows, and we built a fan base at the time through MySpace. We were strategic about MySpace, where we were adding like 500 people a day because that was the limit,
Right.
and then we were messaging all 500 and commenting on all their walls. So we were just building this fan base on there. We were like influencers.
Facebook didn't exist then.
It didn't,
No.
and we were MySpace influencers at the time before that was even a thing. We had hundreds of thousands of friends on there, millions of streams on our player. DMs through the roofs, and it was just like we were consistently going to the post office to sell merchandise like every week, like hundreds of dollars. Our CDs were selling out at Bull Moose Music and Newbury Comics.
Newbury Comics. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was really cool. And then we were, we went from shows like of 75 people to then 200 people to then 500 people to then 1,200 people, right? And that's where that grew. And along the way, then we started expanding out to markets and then program directors were picking up our singles and playing our songs on radio. So that's how it kind of started.
Yeah. So I want to play a clip in a couple of seconds of some of your new stuff. But I got myself into a lot of trouble with you guys the first time you guys and Adam broke up. Because we were friends, and you guys called me, and then Adam called me, and they're like, "Yeah, we're breaking up." So I wrote a news story because I think you guys are news, right? There are people out there like Debo who thinks he's news, but he's not really news. You guys are actually news. You're a great band. You're a local band, but you played all over the world, and I loved, and I love Adam too. I loved, but it broke my heart to see you guys break up. So I was like, "This is totally news," and it's not usually the kind of news. We don't break music news because we're like a hard news newspaper, but I wrote the story, and I got some quotes from you guys, and I got some quotes from him, and I guess it went viral and caused a lot of problems for everybody. And then everybody at the end of that hated me for being the guy writing the story and exposing it. But then when you guys got back together, I felt so good. I was like, you know what? So it ended well. And so this story that I wrote that's still online, that still gets probably about 500 hits a week, believe it or not, still does. When people search your name, I guess they find it and they read it.
Oh, wow.
And then when you guys got back together, I was all excited. You guys came and you played my charity bash. The first two times, amazing, right? The last time I apologized, we had an issue, and by the time you guys went to play, everybody was gone. But you guys played, and usually we'd start the night at 7 o'clock. We'd end the program around 10, and then we'd all kind of party in the bar afterwards. You guys went on at 10. And at 11:30, 12 o'clock, we still had a full room because you guys were playing. It was amazing. It was crazy.
Good time.
And so I was so happy Adam was back and everything. And then coming to find out recently that you guys have split up again. Mom and Dad have gotten divorced. And now I kind of feel bad about it. And everybody was asking me, are you going to write a story? I'm like, not again. No, I'm not doing that again. Yeah. I learned my lesson the first time. But I wanted you guys to talk a little bit about that because people who have followed your music, followed you guys personally, followed the band, gone to see you, supported you by buying your merch and your records and downloading your stuff, want to know, what happened. And I'm sure, with every divorce, you don't want to speak ill of the guy that, the person you broke up with, but the fans deserve to know, why did Dave leave Van Halen? What happened?
Yeah, I mean, all right. So ultimately, the same reasons why we initially, parted ways are similar. For the initial breakup, still the same issue. It's you get back with the ex, and it's still the same at the end of the day, right? And we love Adam, and that's what made it so hard the whole time. And so when we decided to kind of just put the band on idle and say, hey, listen, this isn't really that serious anymore, right? We're going to just put out maybe 1 or 2 releases every few years, one song, nothing
and
crazy.
you started your own band when that was going on. Was it Oh No Octopus?
Oh, no, that was mine.
No, that was me. Yeah, that was, but that's a side production project where I was writing, we write and produce and put collab with hip hop artists and singers. And that's a pretty fun project, but ultimately this is, Prospect Hill was always our baby, right? But then it got to a point where in order for it to continue and stay alive, we just kind of had to back off for a little while, right? And we needed to keep it as it is. And so Adam, at that capacity, was fine, right? It was hey, we're going to do the 2, maybe 3 shows a year. We don't have to get into the studio and force you to get in there and record. And so therefore it was comfortable. And then at one point, I think it was a year and a half ago, right? Over 2 years ago.
It was New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's. I had a dinner. I called everyone together and I said, hey, listen, do we want to turn this thing back on, right? Do we want to turn this on and do it strategic with the support of my whole team and my whole system? because now I have all the resources to do so, right? In regards
Because
to
now you can produce your own stuff and promote your own stuff.
everything, right? And just even the marketing infrastructure. The only thing we lack is capital, but we're able to get that based off the shows and take that money and then reinvest, right? And then if need be, we have people that potentially will invest on projects and kick it in. So ultimately, we're our own record label. So, and I have systems in place. I have tech that I've built that helps market artists and all that. And I said, guys, I have this infrastructure set up. Do we want to take a run at this? But I need to know everyone's 100% committed, and everyone's going to say, hey, we're at 100%, and we're going to all show up, and we're going to implement like a 3-strike rule. Like, hey, if you're not serious and you're wasting everybody's time, because everyone's older now. We got a lot going on. We all have families.
Everybody's got families now, right?
Yeah. And
read my mind.
Yeah, and it's like, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And let's all be, mature about it and show up and do the thing you say you're going to do, right? And so ultimately we set the pact, and unfortunately there was a lot of missed attempts in regards to getting new music out and getting people into the studio and getting, it was Adam was going through a lot of personal issues, so it was tough for him to commit. Yeah. Even though he wanted to, he's saying, "I want to do this with you guys. I want to do it."
And he got sick for a while too, didn't he?
Well, that's the other thing. He's got to take care of himself, right? And so with him trying to be in a band and with a lot of his personal issues and health issues, how can you do that? And so, we said, hey, listen, it's not really working out well, and he knew it, and he agreed, and everything was amicable. We love him, right?
I love partying with that guy so much. I don't think I've ever had as much fun partying with a guy in my life, and I was quite the party guy. I don't drink anymore, but I was quite the party guy, as you guys know, for a while.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had as much fun because he was just so outrageous. Like, he was just so outrageous.
Yeah,
you never knew, like, from second to second what he was going to do.
Yeah, once you get Adam going, he goes. Ultimately, though, he's usually the calmest one out of the rest of us, but ultimately Derek's the psychopath, so shout out to Derek. So we... that's where it came to a place where, okay, like, we're beyond 3 strikes now, right? Yeah. We're way beyond. We're being real lenient. And we want to move this thing. And it's not fair to everyone if we can't move it. Because either it doesn't...
Well, it's like a company. I don't think most people who consume music, just like most people who read the newspaper, don't realize what goes into it. And music is it's like a corporation. Like, you guys have so many moving parts. You have people that depend on you, the roadies, the venues, the record companies, the promotions, the labels. You have so many people, the producers, the music people. You've got all these people, and then if one person just doesn't do what they're supposed to do, it affects that whole. It's like a domino effect for that whole corporation,
100%,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
And that's.
I mean, like, when my girlfriend and I started the Valley Patriot together, and when we broke up, there was a significant difference in the product. Because there was that one person that was doing that role, just not there anymore. And so I get it. I get what you guys were going through. I'm asking these questions because there are people who love you and love your music. People like me who aren't lucky enough to sit in a room with you and ask you guys these questions, who are just dying to know, like, how did this happen and how did we get here?
Yeah, and ultimately we wanted to keep moving. And if we can't put out music consistently and we can't rehearse consistently and put shows on, then the band doesn't exist and it just stays idle, right? Yeah. So it's either the band completely dies or we move forward. And it's everybody wants it to move forward, right? And so we decided, hey,
as fans, we certainly want it to move forward.
Yeah, and I think when we first tried to launch it with Edgar, we also took a little bit of a further direction away musically, and then on this go, we're staying true to our sound. It's a little actually harder, a little heavier.
It's much harder. It reminds me of when Eddie Van Halen decided he was going to produce Fair Warning, which was very dark and much harder than everything else that they had done. And you could tell, like, without knowing who did it, that someone else actually produced that record than the other albums because it was different. It was darker. It was harder. It was more instrumentals, longer instrumentals. Like, you could just tell if you were a music fan that there was a big difference. And your new stuff, and I'm going to play this again in a second, but your new stuff, not to take anything away from the old stuff, because I'm so emotionally attached to all of that.
Of course.
Especially Rescued, what we talked about before, right? But that new stuff, I started listening to that online. I started listening to your promotions online that you've been promoting, and it gave me that feeling like when I was back in high school and I was first listening to these bands that became amazing for the first time and listening to it and going, holy crap, like every note I was like, oh, come on, are you kidding me? And so I don't know if you guys still have that feeling when you're creating it, but as a fan, as someone who loves your music and loves your style of music, I always thought, and again, I loved what you did. I loved, all the other stuff, but this was much harder and much more driven and much more addictive, I think. for lack of a better word.
I think just the vibe in the studio and just the enthusiasm and the good energy kind of just translates, through the music. So what you're hearing is genuinely us having a great time. And
what do we say the goal was when we first started putting these songs together? It's so funny he just said that.
Oh, to bring back the feeling of being in the garage and making music.
Right.
Of when we first heard those first records that inspired us, and that was it was like, we're just going to put out what we love, right? And there's no reason why we're going to write this or write that. And there's, hey, we're not writing a song for radio. We're not writing that. There's no purpose for. We're just writing what's coming out, and we're doing it in such an easy way because, now there's no hiccups. There's no friction, right? Exactly, and it just everything's real fun right now. The process is fun again, and so it's resonating in the music, right? Where it's easy for us to bang out songs now. And so we're going to be heading out to a retreat in July for a week to go finish a bunch of songs so that we have more scheduled out. We have the 3 songs that came out in October, Catalyst with Edgar singing on, which feature Comfortable Alone, As the World Turns, and One Last Fight, right? And then now we got the new single dropping tomorrow called Victim, which, based off of the reaction we sent to everybody in the industry, they're saying it's a radio single. So, we said, let's push it to radio. So it's going to radio as well.
I know I've been promising you, but I'm going to write you a song at some point. And I know I've been promising you for a long time, but I am going to do it because you've let me be in your music videos. You let me be in Jenny Teeter's music video. How's she doing, by the way? I love her.
Jenny's doing well. Her new record is really good.
I've been listening to it. I'm listening to it in my car. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah,
awesome.
We're not really involved with her anymore. She's still a great friend.
You helped launch her, though. You helped make her what she was.
We got busy, and we didn't want to hold her back at all. So that's kind of something that we do. We'll help launch an artist, and then we get to a point where all right, we're busy, we can't give you all the attention anymore, fly free, and so that's where she's at, and she's crushing it. She's doing
good, and I see her stuff on YouTube all the time, and it's not the kind of music that I normally like to listen to, but I am a big fan of Charlie Rich, right? So I listen. She's got that country kind of vibe to it, and
Rhinestone Rock is what she calls it.
That's a good way. That's a good way to put it. Can we play? We have a clip from. I think actually you sent this, but this is out, right? Is this out?
It's coming out tomorrow.
Oh, all right. So you guys are getting before it even comes out.
Play it? That's okay.
Oh yeah.
Play
this
it.
is just a clip of a reel that we shot. We're actually going to be shooting the music video in a couple weeks, just because I tore my pec muscle off. It's in the middle of healing.
And thanks for letting me and my daughter, by the way, be in some of your videos. People don't know unless they look for us, and I don't care. I just like being in it. I don't even care if anybody sees me.
Well, if you want to come to the video shoot when I launch it, I'll let you know.
Always happy to be in another one.
I have Randy Carter. He said hi, Mark.
Hey, Randy, what up?
Randy loves you. That's going to be in my head all week now. It is. That's going to be in my head all week. And what I really love is you guys didn't go to shoot in L.A. You guys didn't go to shoot in Miami or Hawaii. You shot right here in Lawrence on Prospect Hill, right at the water tower. You can see the city of Lawrence on the water tower. And it makes local guys like us feel even better about what you're doing.
I figured that would be a cool clip to play on this.
It's great stuff. And I don't know if people really understand who didn't really follow all of your trials and tribulations, how much you guys have gone through to become incredibly successful and come around full circle to come back to Lawrence and still be local guys and doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we grew up. This is the place that supported us from day one. And so I tell you, we just had this conversation the other day, is like the fans here are always going to be the most special to us because they're the ones that help lifted us up. So they're always going to be, they're going to get the exclusive access to whatever's going on first. They're going to get super access to whatever is, whether it's exclusive shows or music first or whatever. But they're our VIP fans. We have VIP fans on a national level, but then these fans here locally, they're always going to be,
I remember hearing you for the first time at the Clatter, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And even though I've heard the studio versions of the songs, hearing them live was just incredible. Now, I don't know, have you guys ever listened to Fastway? Fast Eddie Clark from Motorhead.
Oh, yeah.
Created his own band called Fastway. So I got really into them. I got really into them, and I didn't even really like Motorhead, but I loved Fastway. When I first heard it, I was like blown away, right? It was like the first time you hear the Scorpions or Van Halen, just blown away. And so I went to see another band, probably I was in my early 20s, went to see another band, and they were the backup band. and they were so good, we left when they were done. We were just like, you know what, there's nothing that can beat this. Like, the band that we went to see, I think was Cinderella, maybe.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, you know what, we're done. We left. We went home. We went to a party afterwards because nothing could beat what those guys were doing, and I felt the exact same way walking out of the Cloud the first time I saw you guys.
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on is our live show.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys really do well. And even like seeing you at Wally's after knowing you all these years and hanging out with Jim in the back and trying to get pictures with all the people, trying to crowd to get pictures and videos of you guys. Watching you guys, especially Andrew, like I love watching Andrew have fun on stage because there's nothing like watching someone in their element doing what they love to do and loving it while they're doing it. Like, you watch it, you can just see this is what this guy was made to do. And you guys are just so talented. Like, I don't want to just sit here and kiss your ass, but...
well, that actually leads us to another note. I guess I'll let it know, but Andy's going to be sitting out this show.
He's going to be what?
Sitting out this show.
Oh, no.
Coming out, June 28th. He's got a lot of things going on personally.
My shooting buddy.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of things that are, that he has to address, and personally. So we, time-wise, he wasn't able to commit.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to hanging out with him.
Yeah. So he's, we'll see how that.
His kid's adorable.
Yeah. Beautiful boy. And so we got Josh Waterman of Lansdowne.
Okay.
Filling in. Yeah.
Now, is he the really short guy?
Yeah.
Okay, I love him. He goes out on stage, and for a little guy, he walks out on stage, and the whole place lights up.
Oh, yeah, he's 10 feet tall on stage.
Yeah.
10 feet tall. It's funny. And he's great. He's he's
one
of those.
Of all trades.
Yeah, he's a jack of all trades. He's one of those guys. Hey, we need a guitar player for that. We need a bass player for that. He's the guy.
And he's having so much fun. Like, again, you see a guy out on stage in their element, having fun. It makes you want to have more fun. Like, you're enjoying the music, but it's not just the music. It's the show. It's the production. It's the theater of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and he's an absolute pro. So he's going to fill in. The rehearsals are sounding great right now. Since I haven't been able to rehearse, I have my brother filling in to keep these guys warm. He's a great drummer.
But I thought I saw a video of you doing the drumming thing, saying, no, my pec is better, my shoulder's better.
With the sling on, right?
Yeah,
I was just messing around. But I was playing today. I sent them a video. So it's warm. It's getting good. I can actually move it now. And I was able to play today. So by, within the next week or two, I'll probably start joining back in the rehearsals, and then I'll be good for the show.
All right, okay.
So, I tore it right off the bone. So
wow.
Not fun. They had to screw it back in.
So what are you guys working on now? Like, what's coming? Like, we just did the preview of what of the new song. But what's in the can? What are you guys working towards? What's going to be... What can Prospect Hill fans look forward to next? Because there's always a next with you guys.
Well, we have that writing retreat booked, so we'll be out, putting a lot of
I'll
hours
send you
into
lyrics.
it.
I promise. Before you go, I know you asked me like 10 years ago, and I never did.
That'd be awesome.
I promise you, I'll send you some lyrics.
Send them over.
Now's the time.
You guys help me. Like I in my life, like I look back and I go, okay, I've published books. I did a newspaper. I did all these things that I love doing. I've been in a couple movies and documentaries, and then you called me one day and said, hey, you want to be in a music video? And it wasn't like in the background. I was like the main part of the video for Jenny Teeter, which was great. The Daughter of the Devil, if anybody wants to look it up.
Yeah.
I had so much fun doing that. But the one thing I don't have to my credit is I don't have a songwriting credit, and so I know I promised you, and I will. When do you leave?
It's July. What is it? July 11th or something? 12th. Yeah.
Before July 1st, I'll have you some lyrics. I promise. And again, if you think it sucks, we're friends, so don't feel like, oh God, how do we tell? Just tell me we didn't like it. I'm good with that too.
July 14th.
Okay.
That week.
All right.
So you got some
I
time.
promise I'll get
All
you
right,
that.
yeah.
So. Is the full album going to be out before you guys play?
So this single, Victim, is going to be out tomorrow. It's going to be going to radio as well on Monday. That's going to be out for the show, and then there's going to be a couple other versions of the song that are going to come out. One of them is people are going to really like. We have a collaboration.
Give you like a hip hop version so that we can.
No, well,
one of them's Spanish.
One of them, there's a Spanish
Oh,
version.
good.
Yeah, with him.
Nice.
Intern girl's going to love
I
that.
like that.
Yeah, and that's the first time we've dabbled in that. Obviously, he's capable of it, so it's like, why not? And then there's another version that's going to be really cool that has a special guest on it,
nice.
A bigger band that has been a massive inspiration to us as when we were kids, and we got them on it. So that's that. We're releasing our version first, and then that one's going to be put out a little later, and that'll be a big surprise for everybody. And then we do the writing retreat. We start finalizing more records to then drip out releases, basically singles, into the full-length album with a release show and all that as well. And then the setup is for this year is to basically prime the audience, get everything back going, get these releases build everything back up, and then build our higher level team. Bring on a booking agent, bring on some more financial backing, and then next year we will be hitting the touring circuit again and the festival circuit. That's the goal here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And listen, I'm hoping so much for you guys to have even more success. I mean, when I said you guys hit it big and you kind of downplayed it like, well, we didn't hit it like big, but to those of us who have never hit anything, like I was in a high school band that literally went nowhere. We did five house parties and then the band broke up, right? So to those of us who love music and want to live through you, we see the success that you've had and see it as monumental. Maybe you don't because your goals were so much higher, or maybe they are so much higher. But we see what you guys have done, and it's monumental. We see it as much more than I think you do, is I guess what I'm trying to say. And by the way, when I had my pro police rally, I invited Edgar to come do the national anthem. I appreciate that at Thorne High School.
I started in the wrong key. So
no, it was good, though. It was good because you had BLM rioting and saying, kill all the cops. And so we said, well, how do we counter this? Let's have a pro-cop rally. And so we put together a pro-police rally at Thorne High School. But I needed someone to do the Star Spangled Banner. So I'm like, well, who do I know that's a really good singer? And I'm like, Edgar. We'll have Edgar come in. And so that was great. It's been fun to have you guys around with some of the things that I'm doing, and you guys asking me to be part of what you guys are doing, because it's so fun to be genuinely happy for other people. That's kind of where I am at my life right now, and to watch you guys doing what you're doing. I'm genuinely happy for you guys. And you know what? I hope that Adam can find like a band and find like what he wants to do and to be happy because I love that guy too. Same.
We'll always support him regardless.
Yeah.
So. Thank you. I mean, thank you for that. Our dreams have always been really, really big. So, wherever we've landed, is I agree. It's great. We've done very well and we've had some great success, but it's always been like, there's another level that we feel like we can be at and we want to be at. And right. I think that's where we're trying to set up now.
Well, that's part of being a perfectionist. Like no matter where you land, you want more, right? Yeah. I learned about you guys through your dad. Right? So I knew your dad. I didn't really know you at the beginning, but I knew your dad. He kept telling me, you're not going to believe how great my kid's band is. And I'm like, yeah, everyone says that. Everyone's got a kid doing something that they think is the best. Yeah. And he's like, no, you got to hear these guys. You got to hear these guys. And I think he dropped me a CD single. It might have been a cassette, but I don't think it was. I think it was a CD single that he dropped me. And I went home and I put it on my desk. And it was like a month later when I found it among all my papers on the desk. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I should give this a listen. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I just sat there like, it was like the first time I heard Fastway. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Like, this thing sat on my desk for a month, and I almost like didn't listen to it. Like, wow. And then I ran into him again at Jay Bryan's, and I went over to him and I said, hey, I actually listened to that. Your kid actually is really good. And he goes, well, they're playing the Clatter soon, and if you want to find more of their music, here's how you do it. And all of a sudden, it became like it became part of my rotation. Scorpions, Van Halen, Aerosmith, Prospect Hill. It was just, awesome. It's just where it was. So,
yeah. So June is wishing you guys the best success.
Did you see I'm wearing her T-shirt?
Oh.
Did you see?
No, well, she didn't notice. Now she's going to.
June is our biker bitch, as Kelly calls her.
Very cool. What's up, June?
Kelly called her a biker bitch one day, and so she went out and got a T-shirt that said biker bitch and just embraced it. I loved it.
Just owns it.
So, yeah, Riders Don't Play, the motorcycle MC, the motorcycle club, was nice enough to give me. I've gotten so fat, she called me, she goes, what size are you? Are you large? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm way past large now. Since I got out of the hospital, I think I'm somewhere around 240 now. So she gave me the 3XL, which is good. But thank you, June. Appreciate that. Is there anything else promote, your website and your event coming up, and anything else you guys need to promote?
How we can support?
How can we buy merch? I'm always looking for Prospect Hill merch.
I'm going to take care of you. Actually, I was going to bring something, but our whole merch bin's way up in Londonderry. But I'll get it.
Yeah, but I want to buy it to support the band.
You can buy merchandise off of prospecthillband.com.
I'll take the free one from him if you.
Okay, I'll hook you up, of course. Yeah, I'll hook you up. And then we just launched a new piece of merch for Victim today. That's available on the website. Just came out today. We haven't even announced it.
Who wrote the lyrics to that? Because I was listening to the lyrics and I thought they were pretty good.
So Victim was my initial baby, where that was I came up with the lyric content and then the concept of it all, and then I brought it into the room, which is kind of what we've been doing now, which is nice. Is I'll start the lyrics and I'll bring them in, and then we'll all start to workshop them. And Edgar, we'll throw in a line and go, oh wow, that's perfect. Let's add that in, and it's fun, And we're actually, obviously Derek, Sean, we're all part of the writing process, Johnny, and we're all in the room now, so it's nice. Obviously, Derek starts laying the foundation down musically with him and Sean, and then I'll come in with the lyric idea, melody ideas, and then we all workshop them. And we're actually
when you say workshop them,
we're going
try
back and
stuff
forth,
out,
trying stuff out, saying, hey, try this line or try that. We'll come up with the outline that I bring in, then that's the guide.
like
for
a draft.
Yeah, a draft, and then we start working from there, and it's fun. It's back. Who has the best line or the best melody wins, right? If everyone goes, wow, that works, let's hit it. And there's even times where we'll record it, and then we'll go, you know what, that's not that great. Let's go back and hit, try something else. And so, and even, we got Zach Amash. I'll give a shout out to him. He was our roadie for years, and now he's, one of the co-writers in our room with us. But it's a fun time.
Yeah.
All coming in there and jumping in and writing together, But ultimately, yeah, it was that beamed down to me, the whole victim thing. The mindset right now in the world is just filled with victim mindsets, and it's one of those things that bothers me big time, because you hear somebody and they're always complaining about their problems and they make it their identity.
Right.
And by doing that it makes it a bigger problem. They never solve it because now it's their identity. They can't,
Right.
And this is that song to kind of make that known of like, hey, fix yourself, take ownership and responsibility of your problems, and that's, I think the world will be better.
It reminds me of the song that you guys did that you let my daughter was in your video. The one that you guys, it should have been a big hit, and then you got screwed by the promoters on that one too. The one where the vigilante guy shoots him at the end.
Oh, Step Out of Line.
Step Out of Line. Great
Yeah.
song, by the way.
That was cool.
But it's almost like the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys see what's going on in the world, and you're able to take that feeling, that construct, and put it into words, and put it into lyrics, and then put music to it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, the victim, I think, is a good representative of what we're seeing as a problem in today's society, where there's a lot of people just not taking ownership of their issues, and they're playing the victim.
Right.
Ultimately.
I saw Bill Burr did I don't know if you're Bill Burr, the comedian, he's kind of gone off the wall recently, but
Yeah.
I was watching an interview he was doing on a podcast where somebody asked him about like when he was going to therapy. And he's like, after a while, you can only tell your childhood story so many times before you realize you're going to get off your own ass and get past it yourself. Mm. He goes, so what's the point of continuing going to someone and being the perpetual victim? And after you do that for a while, you realize that, like, oh yeah, you know what? I should just do this on my own. I should do it myself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same mentality.
That's how I feel, and everybody's got issues, and everybody's got problems, and you can either make them define you, and I tell people my growing up, my childhood, some of it, and I tell people, and they're like, "Whoa, really?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, they would never know, because I don't make it my identity.
Right.
It is what it is, and even health issues. Like I wouldn't, it's like if you say I'm sick, or I'm unhealthy, or I'm angry, or I'm depressed, or I have anxiety, then you do.
Right.
And if you don't, then you don't.
The universe listens to you for sure.
It sure
Yeah.
does, and so that's how my mentality's always been, and that's what's great about this whole team. We all feel, it's representative of how we all feel, and we're all pretty much on the same page across the plan on everything.
Anything else, you guys, before we wrap up? How are we doing on time?
We are 1 hour and 1 minute, but I do
Okay.
have a quick question.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It might be a hit or miss. Any proposals from Diddy? Diddy, Puff Daddy?
Well, he said he didn't want to talk about his childhood.
I don't want to
sorry.
talk about any of that. Yeah.
That was
no more lube conversation.
You guys up for lunch at Salvatore's, or you got to get back to stuff?
Maybe I have to pick my son up at 3, so we might have some time.
Okay.
But ultimately, I guess the only other thing I would say
probably
is,
won't have
is June 28th at Wally's. We got a band, Shallow Side, coming up from Alabama.
Okay.
Blame Shift from New York, and Chasing the Devil, who are local guys as well, and they're doing really well. And DJ Chris Drake, and those tickets are available on Ticketmaster.
Okay.
So,
Now, you guys always lie, always, when I say what time you guys go on. Right? So you guys say, no, we're going to go on probably around 9, and at 11:30, right, you guys hit the stage. So what time are you guys going to go? Because I love those other guys.
Yeah.
But with what my health is these days, I don't really have time to kind of like stand there for 4 hours waiting for you guys. So I want to get there before you guys go on and see you.
Yeah, the problem is the venue wants us on later because that'll keep people there longer, so that they get
drink more money,
right? So that's why we get pushed so late. But ultimately, the goal is to be on before 11. Like
Before
10 minutes before 11 is the goal. Yeah,
Right.
and it'll be no later than 11 though.
Do you have any big venues scheduled? Like Wally's is great, but it's small, right? And the Clatter doesn't exist anymore for band venues because they're in a new spot, but it's like a restaurant now. you have any like big venues planned, or is that going to be after you guys finish writing the new material?
Ultimately, I think we want to do a big return to Boston for our release party for the album, and we'll figure something out for that.
Because I can see you guys playing House of Blues. I love that place.
Yeah, it would be great, and we're looking at maybe doing something with a co-headline show with Lansdowne as well, and putting a few locals on that. And we haven't chosen the venue yet, but there's an idea to do that. And then I just reached out, and we're in conversation with Bank of New Hampshire, Guilford, up there, the Meadowbrook. I think it's not Meadowbrook anymore, is it?
It's
Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion, right? And we're hoping to grab a spot on there on the main stage for one of the nationals that are coming through. We like to do at least like one of those shows up there every couple of years.
Yeah.
It's awesome, So that's hopefully can happen. But ultimately, right now, the focus is on the Wally show, potential main show we're working on right now as well. Getting back to Rhode Island, potentially doing a small run regionally, maybe hit Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey, New York. And then from there, it's the big show in Boston. We'll figure that out,
All I can say is that Edgar just did not shut up the whole time. Right? He was just talk the whole time he was here. But what I'd really like for you guys to do, if you could, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I would love for you guys to come back after you've done like your writing retreat and you put all that stuff together with your guitars and maybe your bongos, that was, by the way, that was so great when you showed up at the Bash to do an unplugged version of your songs with the bongos.
Yep.
And I actually still listen to that because we recorded that Bash.
Oh, wow.
And I took those songs and I put them in my car. And
wow.
so I actually, when I'm
that's
riding
great.
around, I'm listening. I'll send them to you.
Yeah, you should send them. I would love to.
So listen to you guys do that live unplugged show for us. Like, to listen to it to begin with was incredible. But other people in my car will be like going somewhere. It'll come up and I'll go, hey, this is from my charity bash. And they're like calling me a liar. They absolutely will not believe that like you guys actually came to my event and that's how good it sounded. And that's how good you guys sounded. So
when is it? It's the next year's. Right?
Oh, it's in March every year. So
March.
what I was asking is, once you guys are done, can you come back here and bring a couple of instruments and maybe do a couple of songs off your new thing?
Yeah,
sounds awesome.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it. Yeah.
So
We'll bring the
awesome.
whole
All right,
crew.
we have Edgar Troncoso, which I've been saying wrong for 15 years. I'm calling you Edgar Troncoso.
Troncoso.
And Mark Roberge from Prospect Hill. They started off here in Lawrence. And, boy, you want to talk about local guys making good. They went off, they made all kinds of money. They played all over the world, and they came back to Lawrence to help local artists produce their music and show them the kind of music industry and what pitfalls to look for and try to help them through that. And I think that's actually pretty amazing. And, it's one thing to be making great music. It's another thing to take your success and help other people with it. And I really appreciate what you guys did with all that, too. Any final words before we
Thank you.
Wally's
Thank
June
you.
what?
Yeah.
Wally's June 20th. It's my birthday weekend.
Nice.
My birthday is the day before, so
Right.
we're going to be celebrating.
Will there be an after party? That's the only question.
There will be an after party if you show up for sure. And then
Someone wants a lap dance.
I will.
Yeah, we'll gotta get him in a roadie.
I will-
mean,
yeah.
not a roadie, a groupie. He needs
Yeah.
both. He gets both. And then
Finally.
the biggest thing is for us right now is obviously the show, but then Victim tomorrow dropping.
I'm
All right.
You guys got the exclusive access.
That's the
to it.
exclusive. All right, let's roll up, Mel. Thank you to these guys. Hit up ProspectHillBand.com. Find them on Facebook. You guys have other social media?
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of them. Prospect Hill, search us.
Outstanding. Let's thank our sponsors, Century 21 McLennan Real Estate. By the way, they just got a huge award. Matt McLennan and Janet, and I think at least 2 or 3 other people over at Century 21 just got like a huge national award for real estate. Zany Pesci Law Office, Marset and Son Construction, EIS, Investigation and Gun Training, Tomo and Shaken Seafood, JG's Ice Cream, and free shout out to the Jafrida brothers. We love them. And by the way, thank you guys for helping us with our charity bash this year. Clear Path for Veterans New England, AFC Urgent Care, Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, Prime Insurance, the Doug Mercurio Law Office, Enterprise Bank, W3ON. A free shout out to 4 Star Lighting, Dawn's Sign Tech, and Stadium Chiropractic. Thank you to Intern Girl for always doing a great job for us.
Aw, thanks, Tom.
Melvin Taylor for writing the opening and closing of the show. And what did I say? That was 15 years ago last month? I think it was 15 years ago last month.
I don't remember.
But he said go home, so go home already.